Hello, I'm Aleks U, and you are awesome. Today's topic is why do I hurt? In the next 15 minutes, we're going to discuss that in the Mind Triumph Talks, which this video is part of, where we talk about the only topic that there is really, being present. So I've got these delicious ruby grapefruits. Well, I'm gonna put on the side. The reason I smell them, like I always say, is that the act of smelling is a shortcut. While you process the smell, the brain processes the smell, this conversation stops and you're present for a moment. So it's a really, that's why the old saying, stop and smell the roses, it's actually much deeper than just being happy. It's actually a shortcut to be present. So and that's what we're gonna do in the next 15 minutes, being present and have a wonderful conversation, or at least I'm gonna talk, you can write comments, and I'm really looking forward to read them. Now, why do I hurt is actually a question that can go two ways. If the question is asked like it is usually by my ego self, my ego is gonna try to find a reason, like it's gonna try to drill down and find a reason why I am feeling pain, right? Why do I hurt? Because the way the ego, like you can see in our community, the way the ego self works is he always wants to break things down to the smallest atom and even further down to particles to try to understand things. The ego isn't very good at looking at big picture and making sense of life and what you are in it and the fact that you are actually life, but it wants to go as separate and as smallest separation that it can possibly go, because in itself your ego is a separation, right? So the very essence of my ego, as I take it, the egoistic self, is a separation from totality, right? That's the only way the ego exists, is a separate entity, the belief of a separate entity, right? And so and everything that it does is it's following that path of separation, right? So today, 21st century, I think it's very obvious that we humans, with very few exceptions, are living in pain, right? And a lot of it is psychological pain, or caused by the suffering that we live in, the dramatic self, not self necessarily, but not self-created, but self-bought maybe, or a story that we live by anyway, let's just go it that way, that is very dramatic at most times, and it's very painful, right? Our mind is creating a lot of suffering within the story that we live by on a daily basis. So that suffering, being mental, also shows in our physical body in the form of pain throughout somewhere in the body, or an illness eventually, and of course physical death. But the pain that we as humans we experience is obvious. I mean, if we look around, rarely we see a person who's shining with just life and exuberance and joy, right? Those are rare sights nowadays. Most of us are concerned. We have faces that are worried, concerned, rushed. We look aged and overweight and often sick, right? So it's very easy to see that, to verify that we do live in pain. And so the question, why do I hurt and why am I in pain, is very valid to every single human. And we ask that ourselves, right? That we look in the mirror, say, oh, I've got, my stomach hurts, like I have chest pains, or I have back pains, or I have headaches, or I'm just feeling uncomfortable throughout the body, right? And so it is something that the ego asks, right? Because it's an experience. And so the ego, the small self that you believe you are, that I believe I am, that commonly we believe we have this separate I, little I inside, is gonna say, well, why am I hurting? And the reason it wants to understand isn't necessarily so you heal, The reason is to actually validate that there is a reason for your pain other than your ego. You see? So if I'm in pain, like, oh well, my stomach hurts, I'm stressed and I'm worried because my colleague did this to me. You see, like I broke it down and I figure out why I'm stressed. But the truth is that isn't the reason. The reason that I am stressed is because I, the egoistic self-I, sees itself as separate, attacks every situation, judges every situation from that point, and therefore inflicts itself pain, right, and suffering, myself on me, projecting that is actually somebody doing it from outside in. And so when my ego self asks why am I in pain, isn't to say, wait a minute, I am the problem, I am the cause of the pain. It's actually to find out what I can project as a reason now beside me and outside of me to my discomfort, to my pain, to my illness. And the second, even more messed up reason is when the ego asks and tries to find out, and I'm gonna go online and read, why am I in pain? Oh, and there's a name for my pain. I have something isis or stomachitis, or I'm making this up, but that's how they sound. It's how silly, right? There's a name for my illness, right? And I have that illness. So the journey that your ego takes when it's trying to figure out what it makes you in pain is very very ironic, but it's easy to follow. First, finds the blame, it's not me, right? Then make it part of me, meaning, oh, well, I'm Alex and I have stomachitis, right? Again, I'm making this up. But I have this illness and no, it's part of me. So my me gets bigger. Like, however silly that sounds, the more things I can describe and prescribe to me as an I, the better for the ego, right? Because now I'm not only Alex that works at the grocery store and has 2 children and makes videos. Of course, I'm making a lot of things up, but I also have now stomachitis, right? Like, I've got this illness and it's me, right? That's part of me. So what happens is it's becoming part of your story and a drama and the conversation, not with the purpose to heal, but the purpose to strengthen the self that is suffering and now has another illness that's proving to you that you deserve to suffer, because it is, you have it, right? And so the ego embarks on this journey that never ends, and it can add 10 more diseases, right? And of course the society labels them right away. This is the name of this disease, this is incurable, this is incurable, this, you need to take this medication for the rest of your life, and so okay, so that's what people do. Like, now that's part of my story. I'm also taking this medication and I've got these 3 diseases. Your ego will never has a goal or the purpose to heal yourself and get and understand that. Well, this is the second topic that I want to talk about. Actually, let's go into it. Now, finishing up the first part, the ego will get you into this route, right? What's the problem outside of me that's causing me my problems, right? My pain. It isn't me. It's never me. And once I figure out, isn't so that I can heal, but so I can strengthen my broken self, small, separate self with the story, because now this is added to my story. Yes, okay. Life sucks here. I knew it. Destiny. It's. I'm not lucky, and then there's another reason that proves it. I now have this disease, and I'm in pain. And there you go. The story continues. The story widens. Now, let's put this aside. So, where are my grapefruits? Take a breath. Now, for a moment, consider this with me. What if I am the reason for my pain and why I hurt and why am I in pain? What if the not the person, but the thing that's asking is the problem? I am the problem to myself. And by I am, I mean the ego self that I think I am, that I've bought in so religiously, right? The voice in your head that is asking, why do I hurt and why am I in pain, is the problem. And that voice will never figure it out, because it is like a dog chasing its tail. It is the voice that's causing you the pain. And if you let that sentence sit with you, it's a scary sentence, because it smacks down the firmest beliefs of your ego, right? It shakes its foundation. What? I am the problem to I? Yes. The ego. So the pain that you're feeling right now, it's based on the fact that you bought in that you are a separate small self that has to, like, literally make its way in life and fight everything or compete with everything and so on, right? Now, of course, your ego doesn't sound that way in your head, but that's its purpose, right? Because if you're a separate thing, of course you have to survive, but that's a promise and the premise of the ego, right? So let's step back for a while, for a second, and look at it in a different way. And I know that will sound might sound different, very different to your ego, and unacceptable. But you are a perfect being, right? You're beyond your thoughts, what you can think. You cannot think that. You are already a perfect being without your story, and before you even knew about the voice in your head that's asking this question, why am I in pain? Before that, you always were. And so as a being, you're perfect. Your true self doesn't ask questions like, why am I hurting, right? Your true self wakes up of the broken eye that's talking and realizes, I'm right here. I am not in pain. I was feeling pain because I bought in and lived an illusion that I am separated, poor, a little, guilty, afraid, scared, and not enough, little thing. So how can I not be in pain, right? When everything I do through my ego prism is to judge, to hate, to fight, to be afraid of, to be scared, to be never now, always worried about what will and what did, right? So how like it's almost a miracle that we're not hurting even more, like with this philosophy that we walk out every day. Like it's no surprise we feel pain, it's no surprise we feel hurt. But what I want to remind you here is that you are a beautiful, perfect being. However strange that sounds, yeah, because we're not used to hearing this. Your voice never tells you this, and society rarely says it either, right? But you are a perfect being that does not need healing, that doesn't have diseases, right? What I'm saying is, you can be experiencing those pains and diseases and the journey that you've embarked on. But below that, right, underneath that, is a beautiful being that's experiencing it. And that being is perfect. That, realizing that, wakes you up of the dream. And that is your real chance of healing, of the illnesses you might have or the pain that you're experiencing, right? The real way, the only way to actually heal, truly heal, is to realize that you already are healed. That's the perfect, that's a perfection, a wake up. It's like, wait a minute. Well, if I'm already healed, that means I don't need to heal, which then destroys that story in your mind that was an illusion. And we call it let go, whatever term it's, and then what comes up is not a person who's trying to heal and has pains and stuff and it hurts, but it's a person who is already without pain, right? Because trying to, fight and try to kind of go against, try to figure out the pain, will keep you in the pain. Letting go means realizing that you're already free of pain. That's the experience. If you really want that experience, it will come, and it will come by the realization of, I already am free of pain. That is how your true self will approach it. Realizing, waking up out of this and saying, wait a minute, I'm a beautiful human being and I am free of pain. And even if it takes going back a few times, right, like not letting go right away from my pain, right, once you taste this, okay, there's a moment I don't feel any pain, which means, and I'm still here, which means it's possible to live without pain, right? Then how about I let go of it completely and I'm here, present, being, without hurting, without pain. Absolutely being the totality that I am. This was the 15 minutes conversation, why do I hurt? And we talked about the two paths. Is the ego path will never heal you, and the true realizing that you are a beautiful being now is the only way to true healing. I'm Aleks U, and you are awesome. I'm looking forward to our next weekend's 15-minute conversation. Drop me a line about a topic you want to see that we discuss here. Until then, less ego and a lot more joy. Bye.